so long. Lord, 100 lives is trying to get you home. Lord, 100 lives is trying to get you home. Lord, 100 lives just trying to let you home.
Track there from the Eastern called Heart Like a Train here on Kiwi. Time now is 7 minutes away from 8.
The Radio Wemo Breakfast.
Daniel Nielsen.
Yes, Daniel Nielsen, letter from Copenhagen, joining us in Copenhagen this morning. Morning to you, Daniel.
Good morning, Mr. Wemo.
What's been going on over there? What are the headlines?
Well, it's still snowing. We've got icicle warnings. Watch out for stuff dropping off roofs and things like that. We've had a lot of roofs collapse, actually, especially on some of the bigger pig farms in the provinces. It's quite a serious problem in a country like this because a lot of the exports come from pork products and things like that. So, yeah, it's been snowing for 2.5 months and I'm getting sick of it.
Yeah, and icicle warnings, it's an unusual sort of warning. You can hear about black ice on the roads or watch out for slippery steps, but icicles in particular, did they fall on people and stab people?
Well, we have in Copenhagen where I live, there's apartment blocks are sort of 4 or 5 stories high all over the city. There's been problems with snow falling off the roofs, and you have to sort of shut off footpaths so people have to get diverted so they don't get buried in snow. And obviously there's icicles on buildings as well, and they can drop off and really hurt you too.
Wow.
The problem is that it's become a little bit warmer, so the snow gets a lot heavier when it gets wetter.
Yep.
And that's when it starts dropping off buildings and becoming really heavy and caving in roofs, especially on these farms, these pig farms, the big barns. There's been quite a few of them collapse, actually, and it's of course the pigs die, and it's very sad, but it's a really big economic blow as well, not only to the farm, but to the country's economy.
I can imagine. And talking about big blows, the Dutch government has failed.
Yeah, the Dutch government's collapsed after the leading party, the Christian Democrats, and its coalition partner, the Labour Party, disagreed over the withdrawal of troops from Afghanistan. There's about 2,000 Dutch soldiers stationed in Afghanistan, and they were supposed to return home in 2008, but their deployment was extended by 2 years because no other NATO member state offered to send replacements. So in October, the Dutch Parliament voted that the deployment must definitely end by August this year. But earlier this week, the finance minister, who's the leader of the Labour Party, the coalition partner of the governing Christian Democrats, he demanded an immediate ruling from the Prime Minister. When the Prime Minister didn't give that, the Labour Party then pulled out of the coalition, and there's now going to be an election in June. The implications of that are that the collapse of the government shows probably just how unpopular the war in Afghanistan has become in Europe, and it might encourage other European nations to pull their troops out of Afghanistan earlier than planned. Curiously, nobody's talking about it in Denmark, even though it's, we've got a lot of ties to Holland, and a lot of people mistake Dutch for Danish, especially in New Zealand. I blame the salami thing for that. When I came to New Zealand, people thought I was Dutch and I'm Danish, and I think I discovered it's because there's Dutch salami and there's Danish salami, and people can't tell the difference.
It all comes down to salami at the end of the day. Yeah,
that's right.
What about an assassination attempt?
Yeah, well, just before I talk about that, there's another possible implication of this Dutch election that's going to happen, and that segues into the Danish assassination quite nicely. And unfortunately, this government collapse could become a great success for Geert Wilders, who leads the anti-immigration Freedom Party in Holland. He made the provocative film Fitna, which was very anti-Islam. You might have seen it, you might not. But his party stands to gain a lot of votes, according to polls and experts in Holland. So from one right-wing lunatic to another, who's been targeted by yet more lunatics, 5 men have been arrested for allegedly planning to assassinate the leader of the ultra-nationalistic Danish People's Party here in Denmark. I've talked about this party quite a lot in the letter from Copenhagen because they are sadly fascinating. An anonymous tip to the police led to the arrest of these men who have apparently planned to kill Pia Kjærsgaard, who leads this People's Party, and in the last decade has taken that party from pretty much obscurity to a solid 15% of the vote. 4 of the 5 men who are reportedly from Somalia who live in Denmark, though, have been released by the police, but a fifth remains in custody. According to the Danish People's Party, a 500,000 kroner reward was offered to kill Pia Kjærsgaard. So things are happening, although it seems like quite a quiet news week over here.
Yeah, well, anything else that you think we should know about from that part of the world?
Well, the Crown Prince Frederik, who stands to become the next King of Denmark, and he's, I don't know if you know, but he's married to an Australian girl, or a Tasmanian girl called Mary. She's going to be our Crown Princess. They've just had their castle renovated to the tune of 50 million New Zealand dollars.
Wow.
And that's all taxpayers' money. I just can't believe it. I mean, and they showed off their castle. They started opening it up to the public, and you have to pay to go see it. And it's just, they don't even have furniture in it yet. They've just spent all the money on light fittings and paintings on the walls, and it's just incredible. I don't know how people can accept it.
Well, what are you going to do, you know? You're royalty.
Assassinate the Crown Prince.
Obviously, that would be very unpopular at this time because, like, no doubt, like anywhere else in the world, at times of economic crisis, if you're spending money on renovating, people won't be very happy.
Exactly.
Yeah. Daniel Nielsen, live from Copenhagen. Thanks very much. Appreciate your time, and we'll talk to you same time next week.
Thank you.
Kiwi.